James Gunn is a busy man. The Creature Commandos launched the DCU. He is writing and directing Superman, on top of being the co-CEO of DC Studios, mapping out this entire universe. But what has he got next? Hey Internet, I'm Chris, and this is the place on the internet where I talk about comics, movies, games, and things I'm generally passionate about. So before we jump into what James Gunn is working on post-Superman, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let's dive in. One of the benefits of having James Gunn as the co-CEO of DC Studios is he loves interacting with fans on social media. And I think that is great, but also could lead into a lot of speculation of what's to come when it comes to the next DC projects. And we know he's working on Superman. That's coming out this summer, and that's a big project. And to be honest, if Superman fails, this conversation doesn't even matter because there won't be a next James Gunn DC project. They'll probably be the things that are already filming, like Supergirl and Green Lantern, which is about to film. And next year, I think we have Clayface. And Matt Reeves, the Batman, is a part of Elseworlds. That kind of stands on its own. So if Superman fails, that's going to continue. So that really has no bearing on the success of Superman. But James Gunn's future with Warner Brothers does. And he's already writing it. In an interaction on Threads, he was talking about the fact that he's already pre-writing his next project for DC. I wonder what it is. Now, the easy answer would be a Superman 2. And with Superman, it's an interesting thing that he is writing and directing it because DC and Warner Brothers had approached him earlier before even he directed the Suicide Squad to write and direct Superman, and he turned it down. And then eventually he said yes and took on the job of co-CEO of DC Studios. So I wonder with Superman if it's one of those things where he had one big idea. He didn't really have a trilogy mapped out like his Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, or is as passionate about Superman as he is around the quirky characters of the DC universe like the Suicide Squad or Creature Commandos or Peacemaker, which is also coming out. Forgot that. So he's also working on that, which he wrote and directed some of those episodes. Don't know where he finds the time. But I think Superman is one of those things like, I'm a big fan of Skyfall. Skyfall is probably my favorite James Bond movie. And Sam Mendes put everything he could into Skyfall. And he talked about how much he loved that movie and what he put into it. But you could tell the follow-up to that, Spectre, he didn't really have many ideas. You could kind of tell he did it for the money, and the studio kind of was like, hey, you should do it. You made the most successful Bond movie. Do it. And then eventually he did it. And I think that movie was made for the wrong reasons. I think they just had to make a sequel to Skyfall, despite the fact that Sam Mendes wasn't really passionate about it. And with James Gunn being the CEO, co-CEO of DC Studios, honestly, he could do whatever he wants. That is why the DCU started with Creature Commandos, because that was the first project he had in a clip. He had already written it. So, hey, why don't we greenlight that? And with what he has next, I'm going to take a shot in the dark and think it's probably going to be a team. Maybe a team of misfits. Maybe a team of characters that people maybe disregard or don't really think about. And why do I think this? Because that's James Gunn's thing.
Do you have any idea who my leading lady is on this film?
In the Tim Burton film?
Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter?
How'd you know?
Stab in the dark.
He did it with the Suicide Squad, did it with Creature Commandos. Peacemaker, even though it's about Peacemaker, is about kind of a group of misfits, and even Superman. He managed to put Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Metamorpho in the Superman movie, which goes to show you that even when he's making a movie about a singular character like Superman, he's managed to make it a team, an ensemble, which is great. I love James Gunn's writing and I love all of his projects. I have to say Creature Commandos was probably, I would say, my least favorite James Gunn DC project, but I did love the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. So even though he has a track record of doing kind of like the same type of story, I'm always down for it. I like it. It's a good bit he's got going. I love the way he's able to dive into these characters, and they're different, even though it's kind of got the same setup of misfits and stuff. I think he really dives deep into the characters that he writes, and they all have individual struggles that you follow along, even though, like I said, you could be really cynical about it and be like, hey, this Creature Commandos is the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is Guardians of the Galaxy. We don't know what Superman is, but I'd assume there's some of those same themes that are in his previous work, which is fine. Like I said, I like it. Creature Commandos, I think, part of the reason I didn't like it as much is that it was just short. It was only 7 episodes, and each episode is 20 minutes, and I don't think it really did well for his style of storytelling. And in terms of what he's got next, I think it's probably going to be The Authority. The Authority was a project that was announced when he initially mapped out the Gods and Monsters, which is like chapter 1 of these DCU, which the further away we get from that announcement is clear that that was just a way to get fans excited and that they're just going to make what is ready to be made. Yes, there's a chapter, but they're not building towards anything particularly big. I mean, obviously we don't know that until we see Superman and Green Lantern and Supergirl. But I think, just based on how these projects have been announced and some of the other projects that have been announced, it's clear that, like, hey, we're only going to do what's ready and what seems right at the time. And the reason I think Authority makes a lot of sense for James is because it's a team. It's a team of misfits.
They're the same face!
Also, he does have the engineer appearing in Superman, which for me, I think it's one of those characters that I doesn't quite make sense to show up in a Superman movie when the rest of the Authority is not known to be appearing in the movie. We'll see about that. But it's clear he's really passionate about these characters because you would not announce an Authority movie before you announce a Justice League movie. There's been rumors that it might be an animated film, which I think makes a lot of sense, especially for a group like the Authority. I don't know if he can really work his Guardians of the Galaxy magic with a team like the Authority, just because the Authority really inspired the modern interpretation of the Avengers. They inspired the Ultimates, and the Ultimates was the basis for the MCU's Avengers. So I don't know if people will be able to see a straight adaptation of that original Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch story. And in terms of James Gunn working his Guardians magic, I think that would probably be more of an R. And when you're making an R-rated movie, it can't have the budget of a Guardians of the Galaxy or Superman. Even though I love the Suicide Squad is a pretty big flop in a lot of ways. It only made, I think, $36 million in its opening weekend. It got a lot of great reviews, and a lot of that had to do with spikes in COVID cases and all that. But the reality is, it didn't make a ton of money, and when you're making an R-rated movie at that kind of budget, I think it's really difficult to make your money back. We just saw that with The Joker 2, which was a sequel to a $1 billion movie, and it bombed in every way possible. So I don't know if a live action Authority movie makes a lot of sense financially, but James Gunn is the boss, so he can make that happen. And it'll be interesting. I don't know, I've liked the Midnighter. I liked them when they appeared in Superman, the War World Saga by Philip Kennedy Johnson. I'm going to pretend I know everything about the Authority and, it's going to flop. I didn't know anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy, so, I mean, what do I know? But I think that is a tough sale. I think, even though I think that's likely just because of the composition of the team and what James Gunn likes to do, I would love to see a Justice League International movie. We've already seen some of the characters appear. We know that James Gunn has shared a lot of art from that original run with Kevin Maguire's art, and Kevin Maguire has done some covers for Creature Commandos. And I think it just makes sense. I think we need another Justice League movie. I know they're probably in movie jail just because of the finances of the first movie, but hopefully the success of the Snyder Cut washes that away and, gives us another shot at it, because I do want to see sort of the big characters in the DC universe. And Justice League International allows James Gunn to put in the weird, put in a Blue Beetle, a Booster Gold in the team, and a Batman, so he could still have those heavy hitter characters with those weird characters. And I think it would be a huge success. I think that would be something really fun. I'm not that excited about the upcoming Avengers movies because, they've just become Marvel Cinematic movies at this point. So it would be cool to see the composition of the team, especially with James Gunn's sensibilities, where he focuses on every single character. That would be a really fun thing to see, and hopefully we get to see it. Like I said, I am not that thrilled about a possible Authority film, but all things considered, looking at the signs, I think that's a pretty likely pick for James, especially, like I said, I don't know how many people again, tell me if I'm wrong, internet, But I don't know how many filmmakers are clamoring to make a Authority film. I'm sure they could get a lot of pitches because people need to work, but it seems like the people he's gotten on board for these initial projects that have already been signed on, people have had like incredible passion around these characters, like Clayface. That's happening. Mike Flanagan just pitched that, you know what I mean? So I think he probably has a real passion about the Authority, and we'll probably see that come through after the Superman. Now, again, nothing in life is guaranteed. I am hoping Superman is a huge success and is able to cross $1 billion, because I'm getting older and I don't have much time to be waiting on DC to get their stuff together so that I can see a proper DC universe on the big screen. So fingers crossed. I'm wondering what that next project will be. Is it the Authority? Is it Justice League International? Maybe Booster Gold. I will bring up Booster Gold any chance I get, whether he be in Justice League International, or I would love James Gunn to do Booster Gold as a movie or a TV show where he's writing and directing it. I think he'd be perfect for that. But what do you think? What do you think James Gunn's next big DCU project is? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.